Robertson, and this is Pirate Philosophy, the channel in which I describe the pattern paradigm, an original philosophy that is rigorous, logical, and accurate, and one that I claim makes better sense of the world than any other philosophy. Welcome. This video is the 25th video that I've put out on YouTube and also posted on my website, thepatternparadigm.com. So I thought it would be useful and interesting to present an overview of the journey so far, of where we have been and what has been achieved. So what is the pattern paradigm? In a nutshell, the pattern paradigm is a new and exciting approach to philosophy. It solves many of the conundrums and paradoxes of traditional philosophy. It may be a bit of a paradigm shift for some people, but worth it for achieving the benefits of a good philosophy, such as those described in the video PP25, 9 Uses of a Good Philosophy, especially in terms of understanding the world and making sense of it all. The pattern paradigm describes the logic of thinking, and because this is so fundamental, it can bring together many different aspects of life and philosophy into a cohesive whole. In this way, it is akin to the periodic table of elements in chemistry. Before the periodic table, there were only haphazard attempts to understand the relationship between different materials. Nothing made sense, and much of the focus was on the attempt to create gold from lead. But with the advent of the periodic table of elements, there was clarity, and the science of chemistry began to make sense. So too in philosophy, where hitherto the ideas are haphazard and there is considerable complexity and very little understanding or clarity. And the focus on trying to extract truth from words and statements is akin to the alchemists naively trying to extract gold from lead. But with the advent of the pattern paradigm and the way it delves beneath the level of words to the logic of thinking, there is clarity and understanding. The pattern paradigm looks at the processes of the logic of making inferences, rather than relying on vague, hand-waving arguments so popular in other philosophies. The pattern paradigm introduces a logical framework that describes the processes of thinking. And the pattern paradigm starts with explicit assumptions and logical processes, and goes on to generate ideas that fit very well with the facts of the world. And incidentally, every philosophy is necessarily a paradigm, for ideas need foundations, and those foundations are necessarily assumptions. And ideally, those assumptions should be explicitly identified. The assumptions of the pattern paradigm include that of the process of evolution, which enabled life to spring forth from inorganic and lifeless matter. And part of that evolution included the development of a brain. The operation of a brain can be modeled by a logical processor. At the start of animal life, this logical processor was bereft of ideas about anything at all. All it had was a few logical instructions by which it could manipulate data. The question was then asked, how is it possible for a logical processor that has no concepts to construct concepts with no input other than sense data? It was claimed that the only process by which this can be achieved is through the logical process of pattern identification. And because this is so fundamental to thinking, I named this philosophy the pattern paradigm. And to demonstrate the rigorous logic of this pattern identification process, I put it in the form of an algorithm. Then when a number of patterns have been identified from sense data by a particular brain, the same pattern identification process can be used in a recursive manner, but this time using the existing patterns themselves as input to the process instead of the raw sense data, and in this way create higher level patterns. Continuing this process, what could be called a pyramid of patterns is formed, with the patterns at the base being created directly from sense data and the higher ideas about life at the top. And this pyramid of patterns effectively constitutes one's model of the world. The model of the world thus created is subsequently used to make decisions which maximize one's happiness. And this is the real test of the effectiveness of a good model of the world. Does it enable one to make good decisions? If it does, then one's model of the world is validated. Whereas if it does not, then not so much. And to demonstrate the rigorous logic of the decision-making process, I put it in the form of an algorithm. And this describes the essence of what human life is all about, creating a model of the world and then using that model of the world to make effective decisions and maximize one's happiness. The philosophical journey then continued and demonstrated how purely abstract logical systems, such as mathematics, can be created and incorporated into one's model of the world through a process of mapping, whereby the symbols of the abstract system, such as 1, 2, and 3, are mapped onto patterns in one's pyramid of patterns. The philosophical journey also covered how science fits comfortably with the general processes of pattern identification. And it then continued to look at communication with other people using language. It was described how words are labels for patterns, and that the only use of language is for the purpose of communication between people, and nothing more. It rejected the idea that statements and propositions can have meaning when removed from the domain of communication. And in the more recent videos, I highlighted the importance of imagination and laughter in thinking and in life, and also videos on consciousness and the uses of a good philosophy. And this fundamental framework of the pattern paradigm fits with all the normal facts of the world. And as a framework for philosophy, what the pattern paradigm describes is all that one needs, for it renders many of the ideas of other philosophies as redundant. It makes them redundant in the same way that the idea of a spherical Earth makes redundant the problem of determining what supports a flat Earth, such as fantasy turtles. For if the ideas of those other philosophies do not fit within the framework of the pattern paradigm, then they can be taken as being fictitious and belong only to a fantasy world. And by fictitious, I mean notions that are disconnected from the real world. And of course, people may well want to read the writings of philosophers past for their historical significance and possible literary merit. But these writings need to be regarded as works of fiction rather than works of fact. And also other people may want to play around with words and propositions in the way that is so popular in modern philosophy. But these are best regarded as amusements, rather than having any significance to the world. With the pattern paradigm, one can rid oneself of these distractions and be free of the word games and propaganda of traditional philosophy. So in conclusion, the pattern paradigm provides a framework for the logic of thinking, and it is claimed that this framework is both accurate, logical, and universal. And in that light, it is also claimed that it is a better framework for describing thinking than any other model currently available. Well, that is all I have for you today. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you have any comments, please leave them in the section below. And if you would like to continue this journey with me, please subscribe to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and ring the bell. You can also visit my website, thepatternparadigm.com, for transcripts of all these videos. Thank you.